Today we're diving into one of the most famous philosophical stories of all time, and that's Plato's Allegory of the cave, and exploring how it applies to modern leadership as business leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals. We often find ourselves trapped by our own perceptions, much like the prisoners in Plato's cave. Today, I'll walk you through how that ancient wisdom actually applies to the challenges that we face in business leadership and how to break free from these mental constraints and how developing self-awareness can help expand your vision to lead more effectively. So let's get with the story itself. Plato's Allegory of the cave comes from his work, The Republic, and it's a metaphor about perception, knowledge, and enlightenment. In the allegory, a group of prisoners have been chained inside of a dark cave for their entire lives. They're bound in such a way that they can only see the wall in front of them. Behind them is fire, and between the fire and the prisoners are objects being moved by others. The prisoners can't see the objects or the people, only the shadows cast on the wall. For them, these shadows are reality. They know nothing else. One day, a prisoner is freed. He stumbles out of the cave into the sunlight where he's blind by the light at first glance. But over time, he adjusts. He sees the world as it truly is and realizes that the shadows in the cave were mere illusions. This new reality is vibrant, full of depth, and completely different from what he thought was real. But here's the twist. When the freed prisoner returns to the cave to share his truth with the others, they reject him. They're comfortable in their own ignorance. And the idea of something beyond the shadows is far too much for them to comprehend at all. They even become hostile towards him, the one who has seen the actual truth. So how does this ancient allegory apply to leadership today? See, in business, leaders can easily become like those prisoners in the cave, trapped by their own limited perceptions. The shadows on the wall for us might be outdated assumptions, biases, maybe even the thinking of those biases and how we put them and rooted them in so deep. Or maybe relying too heavily on this thing called the past. How often do you rely on your past experiences to really tell you what the truth is, even though it's a whole nother year? See, just like the prisoners, we can't mistake those shadows for the full picture when, in reality, we're only seeing a fractional of what's really going on. The shadows on the wall for us might be outdated assumptions, biased thinking, or relying too heavily on past experiences. You don't do that, do you? You don't rely on past experiences. No. Just like the prisoners, we can mistake those shadows for the full picture when in reality we're only seeing a fraction of what's really going on. And when you're leading an organization, a team, yourself, from a place of limited perspective, it's easy to make decisions that don't align with the bigger picture. Think about it. How many times have you made a decision based on a very narrowed view, only to realize later that there was more to the situation than you initially thought? Maybe you're fearful. Maybe you're hiding from something. Maybe you don't want to be told what to do. Maybe you assumed a client was upset because of the pricing that one gave him or her, when in fact it was due to poor communication. Maybe you check out and fail before you even attempt. Or maybe you hired or promoted someone based on past performance, not realizing that they actually lacked the skills needed for this new role that you put him or her in. These are all examples of leading from the cave. But here's the thing, getting out of that cave isn't easy. No, it's not easy at all. It requires us to confront uncomfortable truths and question the very foundation of how we see the world. So how do we do it? How do we break free from these mental chains that start seeing the full picture? Let's talk about the practical strategies to that cave. First, you have to recognize that you don't have all the answers. This is something that I know I don't have. I do not have all the right answers. Every day I'm woken up that there's so much more. This might sound totally obvious to you, to me, but it's actually believing it yourself and telling yourself that truth. First, recognize that you don't have all the right answers. I've learned this far too many times. And still today, I say I don't have all the right answers. And I'm still learning more and more and more. It's like an onion, uncoupling it from the last layer. It just goes on and on and on. We all do that. I'm just like you, and you're like me. This might sound obvious, right? But it's crucial to acknowledge that there's always more to learn. In business, leaders often feel pressured to project certainty, to always have a plan, or to know the right answer. But true leadership doesn't come from pretending to know everything, no? Does it? It comes from asking the right questions. When faced with a challenge, ask yourself, what am I not seeing? What assumptions am I making? This mindset shift alone can help you start identifying the shadows on the wall. Next, surround yourself with diverse perspectives. One of the biggest reasons leaders get stuck in the cave is that they only listen to the people who think like them. And we always look for people that think like us so that we feel secure and right. I stopped that years ago. Whether it's surrounding yourself with yes men and women or sticking to a small circle of trusted advisors, this can limit your vision. Seek out different opinions. This doesn't mean you need to take every piece of advice to heart, but hearing contrasting viewpoints can help you see beyond the shadows you might be focused on. Another key strategy is to actively seek out new information. In today's world, information is more abundant than ever before, but it's also easy to become comfortable, so comfortable with the knowledge we already have, the way we're already doing it, the way it's always been. If you're trying to do business the same way you did 4 years ago, wake up, because it's not the same. It's constantly evolving. Continuing to educate, whether through formal learning, reading, or simply engaging with new industries and technologies is so crucial today for expanding your vision and not just having a 180-degree perception, but to see the other 180 degrees. See, when you expose yourself to new ideas, you begin to see the world completely differently. Just like the prisoner who steps out of the cave and sees the light for the first time. Finally, let's talk about self-awareness, because none of these strategies work if we don't start by looking inward. See, this self-awareness is the key to expanding your leadership and your vision. It's the ability to understand your own biases, your assumptions, your truths, where you lie to yourself, and your limitations. See, this self-awareness allows you to recognize when you're relying on shadows and when you're truly seeing the light. Here's a practical exercise you can do to cultivate your own soil of self-awareness. Take some time each week to reflect on your decisions. Ask yourself, what influenced my actual thinking right here? Was I relying on past experiences or my gut feeling? Did I seek out other perspectives before making that decision? What did I miss? Over time, this kind of reflections helps you become more aware of the mental cave that you and I might be operating in right now. And it gives us the insight to break free. Wouldn't you like to break free? See, this leads us to the final piece of today's topic. It's called challenging assumptions. The biggest limitation for any leader is the assumptions they carry with themselves. If you want to expand your leadership vision, you have to actively challenge these assumptions. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences. And if this resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my profile for more content on mastering business and the mindset. Together, let's work towards elevating humanity, one post and one step at a time.